2023 meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. May we begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we need to approve the minutes for January 9th.
So moved.
Second. Okay, additions or corrections?
Nope, that was good.
Tim?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes. Okay, we'll approve the January financials.
Make a motion to approve the January financials.
Second. Questions, comments?
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, year-end financials, Chelsea, I think you had.
I'm working on getting a different report ran for a year-end financials with a lady from Black Mountain, so we can see things a little bit differently instead of just by the month by month. I'm hoping to hear back from her tomorrow so I can get those done. There's a fund that we still need to correct, our sidewalk fund, and I'm hoping to get that done or how to do that before we close those out and proceed with them. So I'll have those probably by the next meeting, but I wanted to get that taken care of before we,
Okay.
it's been an issue that needs to get resolved, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Quick claim deed at Barnhart.
Yep.
Tim?
Yeah. Chelsea and
That's
I.
the picture you guys need.
Yeah. You wanna come up, Ed?
There he is.
You can help me out, Chelsea, you were there too, but Chelsea and I and Ed met with our city attorney, David Lindell, and discussed this interesting situation out at Washburn Auto Body property. And it probably goes way back to when Ray Wicklander bought it in the 60s, and then Rick Franklin, and then Ed after that, to where it's surveyed here. There's a portion of it here that doesn't show, in as far as the surveyor goes, of it belonging to Washburn Auto Body. But David wasn't sure whether that was even accurate, so what he recommended, his legal opinion, is that we would quick deed it to Washburn Auto Body or Ed Barnhart, like we did in a similar situation with Matt Richards, with the understanding that, you know, Ed pays the expenses as far as registering the deed and stuff like that. So going with our attorney's recommendation, I would move that we would quick deed this portion of property to tie into his, for a sum of $50, like we did, which our previous practice was, and that Mr. Barnhart would be responsible for any expenses as far as registering stuff. So.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Tim?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's a peculiar situation.
It's very
Property's
peculiar.
like one of three.
Yeah, there's 3 owners in that property that I bought 30-some years ago.
Yeah.
Right. 4 owners. Could be.
And if you look at
Right,
the
right.
GIS, you're the only one listed.
Right, and I'm the one, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ed.
Recovering, how's the Isaiah Keller? Come on up.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello, thank you. So I just want to say how thankful I am that you guys allowed me to come and just talk. It won't be very lengthy, but I grew up around Carlsruhe, North Dakota. I live in Minot right now. So I come from a background of addiction, that type of thing, and been clean for about 8 years. And now what I do is I work with people that are struggling either with mental health disabilities or substance abuse, addiction, that type of thing. So I've been in this recovery industry for probably about 5 to 6 years. Did some work at the Boys and Girls Ranch for a while, and now I work with contracts with the state and with tribal entities. And basically what I'm doing is I'm helping people as they're coming out of, could be jail, it could be treatment, it could be some of them right off the street, and trying to figure out a plan that works for them, whether that's getting a job, which most all of them need. Some can't work, but most of them can. Becoming independent, getting housing, getting structure, and just continuing on, you know, with their life. And so, my passion is to reach out into rural communities. It seems like you have kind of the bigger hubs like Bismarck, Fargo, Minot. They've got a lot of resources. They've got a lot of stuff for people. But some of these smaller communities, there's really a struggle going on. And a lot of them don't really know where to go. Some of them might need to move out. Some might need just someone to come by and tell them a couple things and give them some tips. Some of it's low maintenance, some of it's pretty intensive. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I've been in contact with Richard, who's here. And so he's got some properties, and one of them, he said he'd be willing to kind of help me with some recovery housing. With that, basically the state is able to reimburse us to find a transition for them. Typically it's 2, 3, 4 months, but it's not permanent. It's a place where they can get some things figured out to get housing, an apartment, a home, what have you. And for some of them, they may need to find a different place to go. So I've worked a lot with jails and even McLean County here, some. And so I'm just here to kind of discuss my intentions, my desires. I just want to be transparent. Whenever we get into things like this, there's always concerns. We don't want them in our backyard, that type of thing. And I get it. There's risks and there's issues. I would say that, you know, a lot of it's going to be probably local stuff. So I'm not one that's going to try to just ship people in from out of state. None of that. Just basically what makes sense. And there's a lot of people around that need help. And so one of the individuals that we've had contact with is the sheriff. And he said, no, I think that would be great. He said, we need more of this, more people just helping. It's one thing just to send someone off to treatment. It's another thing to figure out if they need a birth certificate ordered or if they need a job application filled out, you know, kind of getting into more of the nuts and bolts of what the barriers are. So I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions. Richard's obviously here, he can speak for himself, but so that's kind of what my vision is, and we offer some different services. Care coordination, peer support, and then some recovery housing, so.
Okay.
So is there some licensing that goes along with it that I'm assuming you have?
So there is insurance that's needed. So with the Behavioral Health Division of the state, they don't really license like they license with like therapists or social workers. So you don't need an LAC per se. Anyone who works for us has to have some credentials. So like for me, I've got a degree and I've got 5-6 years of case management experience. So on a state level, they view that as sufficient. If someone needs therapy, I'm not a therapist, I'm going to try to connect them with a therapist. Or you know, a veteran needs PTSD counseling, I'm going to try to connect them with a counselor maybe in Bismarck or wherever, you know. So I'm not the specialist, I'm just looking and kind of overviewing, examining their life to see what is it that they need, kind of assessing what's going on. And so so there's some credentials, there's insurance that's needed. It's got all of it has to be approved with the state, and they kind of review all the applications and stuff like that. So yes and no, as far as specific licensing isn't needed for recovery-based services. So
Where would you draw enough people from if there aren't that many that need help in this area? Would you draw others from, say, Minot, Bismarck, or Fargo that come into this as well, or just strictly localized?
So we've got kind of a structure set up so people can contact us through a website. What they're gonna do is just apply, they're gonna give us their name, information, basic stuff. We'll reach out and then kind of assess, will this be a good fit? So to give you an idea, there may be referrals, say, from the jail here in town, it's possible. Could be someone that maybe is working here, is traveling from Bismarck, that could be a possibility. Twin Buttes, Beulah, Hazen, you know, heading out west, there would probably be some people from out that way. Say someone they don't feel like they can thrive in a particular town that's maybe even more rural out there. They may say, well, maybe Washburn would be a good fit to get a job or work out at the mines or something like that.
Okay, controls then, what type of controls do you have on something like this? Would you have, locked doors at night, or, is it, free?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so the structure that the state requires for recovery housing, for those dollars, they want a specific lease agreement, they want structure. Someone doesn't have to be there 24/7, but there has to be some sort of a security system and accountability. So, someone has to be on call all the time. If there's an emergency, they call us, the phone sleeps with someone, and they'll answer even if it's in the middle of the night. And we'll kind of go from there. So, yeah, there's gotta be some basic structure.
Okay, how would you coordinate this with the McLean County Sheriff's Department then?
So here's a couple things that happen. So one side of it is, so probation and parole officers, some of them refer individuals into a program called Free to Recovery. You may have heard that. If you've heard of F5, some of these, it's become a popular thing in this behavioral health world. So what a probation officer will do, and there's probably a number of people in this county, they're gonna meet with their client and say, okay, are you needing some recovery services? 90% of them are gonna say, yeah, we do need help. And so even now, there's individuals helping people even in Washburn in various capacities. A probation officer could, say, reach out to us and say, you know, I've got someone, he's in jail, he's coming out next week, you know, it's determined by his circumstances, of course, but is this something you'd be willing to work with him on? And we would say, you know, yeah, I think we can help him, or no, he needs a higher level of care, we can't bring him in, he's got some schizophrenia, he's got some serious violence going on. So it has to be someone that would be a good fit. But the probation and parole office, they deal a lot with that type of thing, referrals. And then just, it could be a social worker, it could be child protection service worker. You know, parents get into a bind, and of course, there's kind of a rescue mission for the kids, but not always for the parents who need help as well. And so that could be another source of referrals too.
What kind of time frame are you kind of looking at, if you have one?
Probably sometime April. It'd be a couple months yet, April, May.
That's when you'd start
We
rolling.
begin, yeah. So,
Richard, a particular place you're looking at, maybe housing people next door?
Next door, down the mountain.
That's what I figured, but, yeah, figured that would happen. Okay.
I had a question.
Sure.
Is there a limit of like how extreme, what their charges were? Like, are we allowing, you know, pedophiles and charges of that nature to come into this community?
Right, good question. That's
Yeah.
always a concern. So I help run a sober living home in Minot, and we don't take sex offenders.
Okay.
We've even kind of tightened up on people coming right off the street. Usually it doesn't work the best. Usually they need some programming first. So yeah, we would limit no sex offenders. People with drug charges has become pretty common, so that's something that's
That's my
obviously-
limit. you
Yeah,
know,
no, that's a great, and that's why I wanted to have this
Yeah.
conversation, so we can kinda,
But there
Yeah, some
are
of that.
already sex offenders residing in this town.
Likely,
as
yeah.
well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I just prefer we're not.
Yes,
Yeah.
bring more in.
Yeah, bringing.
Oh, exactly.
The biggest
We're
risk there is the
definitely
risk to
concerned
the
with
other
that also.
residents that are trying to get the help.
Mhm.
For us, that's our biggest concern. concern. you
Well, I
know.
thank you, because I'm sure there are people within this community that need
Right.
that support already.
For
that
sure.
We're not even
Yeah,
aware.
and I'll work with anyone, you know, as far as housing them, they wouldn't be able to stay there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what are you looking for from us then? Is this just
Not
information?
really anything, just I guess, just the okay and the green light. I just don't want to cross swords or, you know, and with a small town, I understand there's gonna be concerns, so, you know, if I didn't wanna move forward on something without even addressing anyone, and then everyone's like, what's going on down there, you know?
Can you
it's-
give us some
so-
information so we can
Absolutely.
actually look into this before we say yay or nay?
That's fine.
also, I think we'd like to talk with the sheriff's department and also
Right.
the parole officer in town and just get
Yeah.
their thoughts, you know, so
Sure,
we're more comfortable.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a word to use, you can say recovery housing is a good buzzword to use for, what their thoughts or what their ideas are, and then, also care coordination and peer support services
Mhm.
for people that need.
Because I'd like to see, you know, it's echo here, like, you know, sheriff's department, you know,
Yeah.
public input,
Yeah.
you know, type of thing for this. Not that it isn't tremendously needed, but yet we need to be,
Sure,
you know, keep your community safe
Right.
also, so.
Yeah.
But,
On the email you did send me, was there an email address or something on there that I could also provide? I can send out
Yeah.
to them that if they wanna go check out the website, 'cause I know I did go
Okay.
check it out, so I had more of an understanding for these.
If it's not on there, and it might be on the bottom, I can send it.
It is, yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
have you ever done public information meetings? communities?
Like this, in this setting?
No, I'm talking about just having a public information meeting.
I've done some speaking, but not really in that manner.
Yeah.
I've talked to the press and stuff like that before, but,
But it would, I mean, just a thought, to
Yeah.
get the public's input on what their thoughts are, to, because it's important that you sell your idea to the
Sure.
public.
yeah.
Um,
So you think that would be a good next step, probably, or?
It would certainly be something to
Okay.
consider, but, I would,
Um,
yeah. And I know there's, like I said, I know the sheriff's department very well, I can visit with
Okay,
them too, and get
sure.
some input from that, Terry Grumble on that, so.
Okay,
I agree, I think, you know, it would be nice to get some public input on this,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep.
okay,
Because there's, and I don't think you'll find so much opposition as you might just find people just want their questions answered.
right,
And they want some assurance.
Assurance,
Assurance of what's-
Clarity on the
Yeah.
situation.
Thank you,
Right.
Thank you, Don, some clarity on it, so
yeah.
I would encourage you to do it,
Okay.
so.
Would I be able to ask for kind of a date that you'd be able to get back to me on, you know, when, maybe after you have some conversations with, whether it's the sheriff's department or
Yeah.
probation?
We should probably talk sheriff's department, then we could, you know, maybe get it advertised, there would be a
Yeah.
public,
Okay.
input meeting, and
Sure.
then we'd all get together, you
Yeah.
know, I would
Yeah,
guess.
and likely people are gonna say, well, I've got someone that needs help, and so I just want it to be an open,
Right.
open dialogue
Oh,
and
exactly.
on both sides
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
of this issue.
But I think that would be, the right step to take.
Okay,
So,
Sure.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it.
You
Any
bet,
more
thank you.
questions? Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, thank you for what you're doing.
Yes,
what
yeah.
you've done,
You're
for
welcome.
sure,
Yep.
and just keep in contact, you
Okay.
know,
Sounds good.
as we continue on. so.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Forestry Board appointment, I don't think Bev's here. We have one name, Bev Peterson.
She's doing flowers.
What?
She's doing flowers, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. So I knew, she said she wouldn't be able to be here.
Yeah, that's
She's
fine.
not going home today.
No.
I would move that we would appoint Bev.
Yeah.
Second.
Discussion, Tim?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, library board appointment. So we have basically 4 people. I know 2 people have already talked, and I think they wouldn't mind talking again, correct? So who wants to be first? Everybody raise your hand, who wants to be first? All right, come on.
I think I put them in alphabetical order if you just wanna go that way.
What?
I said I put them in alphabetical
Oh,
order,
okay,
just
we'll
so
go.
there was no
we'll go in
preference.
alphabetical order, that works. Okay.
So, like, I've been here twice now, obviously, and you guys both times have asked me why I want to do this.
Mhm.
Now I'm gonna tell you why I think I'm the most qualified to do this, because we really haven't. I mean, I've told you my views on, the diversity grants and all that stuff,
Yep.
but I also have board experience. Like, I work for Dakota Central Human Services at the courthouse. I facilitate a board meeting every month.
Okay.
So, but not only that, I would like to get into a little bit of, I have the bylaws right here, and there has
That's the
been,
library bylaws, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
and there has been a lot of discussion about this censorship of books.
Okay.
And there is a fine line between censorship and the thing that I struggle with when it comes to this is censoring books when you're not even willing to read them. Like, you cannot be researching these books and basing it off of things that you've heard or something the author tweeted or whatever. And so, directly from the bylaws, it says, the primary objective of the Washburn Public Library is to provide opportunity and encouragement for the people of all ages to educate themselves continuously. It is the duty of the library to provide a wide range of materials with diversity of appeal and the presentation of different points of view. To this end, the Washburn Public Library reaffirms the objectives of the American Library Association Bill of Rights and Freedom to Read statement, and recognizes as a responsibility to provide materials that will enrich the community, taking into consideration varied interests, abilities, and educational levels of the citizens served. Provide materials that will stimulate growth in factual knowledge, literary appreciation, aesthetic values, and ethical standards. Provide a background of information which will enable citizens to make intelligent judgments in their daily life. Provide materials representative of the many religious, ethnic, and cultural groups and their contributions to our American heritage. Provide materials on opposing sides of controversial issues so that citizens may develop the practice of critical analysis of all media. Place principle above personal opinion and reason above prejudice in the selection of materials of the highest quality to assure a comprehensive collection appropriate for the users of the library.
Sure, yeah, thank you for sharing, and absolutely. And that's why we're asking these questions, to see people's character, because in one meeting, those bylaws can change. So that's kind of the thing is, it's their character test question, because there is no value to be teaching teenagers about the proper use of a butt plug, which is what some of these books are contained.
But I also went to a library board meeting, and so the whole reason I got drug into this in the first place is because I read a lot. I love the library. I read probably 5 books a week. Not kidding. And so I was asked if this grant went through, if there were books on that list that were what I thought to be great books that they could use the money towards. And then I watched you stand up there and say that it was inappropriate because the author tweeted something anti-white. But the book was excellent. So, like, where do we draw the line? Like, if you hear a song you love on the radio, do you go Google the person and make sure the person who wrote it isn't tweeting terrible things? Like, how...
You could, I guess.
But how far are we going to take this?
Well, I think we need to protect our young people, that's my bottom line.
But yes, we do need to protect our young people. And I have stated that, like, I'm not in favor of the sexual content, but, like, the book that you spoke about was about Mexican heritage. And I'm part Mexican, that's why I read it. There was, like, nothing anti-white in it. It was a fantastic book.
Okay.
But, like, we need to be, like, are you willing to read the books? Or just read what people are tweeting about them?
Yeah, and I went down to the library about 3 weeks ago and talked to the librarian, and I asked her if she had certain books in the library that were controversial or whatever, and I asked her about if she had books on the Holocaust, which is really controversial, and she said they did have books on the Holocaust, which is pretty interesting because that is a subject that is touchy in itself.
Right. You were actually in there right before I was.
Yes, I know.
But then another thing is, like, if we're going to start this with these books, I could go into that library right now and pull books off the shelf that have been there for 20, 30 years that focus on incest and all kinds of things that would horrify you. So it's like, if you're going to be on this board and that's what we're going to be doing, I think you should have knowledge of the books that are in there.
Okay.
I think that is important. And as far as like the board goes, the two members who just left were both 6-year members. Like, they need people who have some sort of board experience, not just,
Okay, anything else?
nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Mhm.
Quite a mouthful there.
Yes, I like it.
Ryan?
You get the hot seat.
I guess so.
Hey, why do you want to be on the library board?
Well, I was walking by and I saw that we're looking for board members, and
Okay.
the best investment I ever made in my life was in my own personal growth. So I got a passion for books, plus my kids go there every day, so I figured, we've got a pretty well experience of what it is, and have passion for books and reading and knowledge. So that's why I want to be on the board.
What are your views on some of these controversial books?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to common sense, common sense of what we take in every day, and so the woke, culture that's coming up now, right? I mean, it seems to be, I don't even want to turn on TV. I actually don't watch TV, That's where I have feelings about that, so I would have some feelings, but I've had board experience as well, being on the Valley City State Foundation Board, understanding how boards work, and just wanting to be able to really serve the community that I'm here, and love people where they're at. And so with that, but the ultimate would be protection. I think majority of the people that come in that library are adults, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think there's a lot of kids going there.
Yeah.
I know my kids do, so I'm definitely concerned about what's in there.
Could you be objective about certain things that happen there, like certain issues that come up and stuff, rather than have a closed mind? Could you be more objective in your thoughts or your feelings on certain issues that may be borderline, you know what I mean?
I mean, I would want to do whatever's in the best interest of the community of the library.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
But that's a broad statement.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I guess just to be more specific, I've asked this to pretty much everyone else as well. There's big controversy throughout the state, throughout the country, of specifically sexually explicit books for children.
Right.
People put up a smoke screen and say that it's a freedom of speech issue. There's a difference between freedom of speech and the freedom of us using taxpayer dollars to provide it for everyone.
Right.
So, with that in mind, what is your opinion on providing sexually explicit books for children?
If it was my children, for sure, absolutely not.
In a library, though?
Is it a children's library?
It's in a children's section in a children's library, yes.
Then I would have to say I wouldn't agree. That would be my personal stance. It would be my biblical stance.
Sure. Thank you.
I'll set no wicked thing before my eyes, what the scripture says, so that's what I believe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anything else, anybody?
Thanks,
Ryan.
guys.
Morgan?
Hello.
Okay. Once again, why do you want to be on the library?
Well, I go to the library, I love the library, my children go to the library, I want to be helpful in any way, I love this community. I guess there is a need, obviously, they want some people with different perspectives, and just, that's something that the old president said, we need fresh blood, so here I am, I'm willing, I'm available to help the community in any capacity, make the library a better place for our community, for our children.
And then I think last time you had mentioned your thoughts on, these controversial issues, if you want to just real quickly
Yeah.
go through that again.
So in regards to the grant that they turned down a couple months ago, I'm not in favor of books that are sexually explicit for children. And I think we do need to be very careful about what we let into the library. If it's a grant that is pushing a specific agenda one way or the other, I think we need to be careful about accepting that, or just use our, common sense, as he said too, just to see okay, this isn't a good fit. We don't want just specific people telling us what we we can choose for books, just for the sake of buying books.
Mhm.
So, let me ask you this, if, I agree with you on the sexual content for children and stuff, how do you feel about, some of the other stuff in relationship to, things that end up in the library, like, Black Lives Matter, that kind of stuff, or woke?
You're asking me how I
What-
feel about those books
Yeah,
being in the
right,
library?
Right,
Well, specific woke movements, I think we just need to be careful in filtering. What are they trying to push? Are they pushing that we should hate people because of what they look like? Are they pushing, an agenda to corrupt our children? I think we need to look at that and be careful. I'm sure that there are already books in the library that do that. I have read some of the books and looked at some of the things that they've been kind of pushing, like socialism, Marxism, in some of these educational books, and I think on the library, I mean, we'll just really have to decide where we want to take the library. Do we want to be going through all these books? Because we can do that, most definitely. Where do we want for our community? That's what's the most important. If we don't want these woke books in there, we don't have to have them in there, because we don't need to corrupt the children into thinking that, you know, they need to hate themselves because they are white, or they need to, you know, I don't know, just push divide between each other.
right, and if they wanted to, they could go right to the internet and find that stuff anyways, even if they wouldn't find it in the library.
And they probably do,
Right.
because TikTok is probably
Social
good with
media
that.
is,
Yeah.
is good at that.
Yeah,
It's just that
Okay.
we don't need to provide it for them.
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just something we have to decide, and if I'm on the board, you know, I'm one of a couple of people that are already there, so we have to have that group discussion, and I am willing to work with other people on what is the best, even if it, in a sense, goes against what I think is the best. I mean, I'm willing to negotiate and, but push for what's right. I
You
don't
have
think-
to.
Yeah,
Anything else?
No.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Mark.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mandy?
Well, I'll just start with an introduction, because I don't think
Yeah, I don't know
anybody
you,
knows who
so.
I am. My name is Mandy Weimer. My family and I moved here about 6-7 years ago. My husband and I both work out at Coal Creek Station, and when we first moved to the community, I wanted to get involved right out the gate, so I coached volleyball at the high school. Then we started our family, and it became more of a time commitment than I was willing to sacrifice, so stepped away from that. Now, 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, we frequent the library just about every week, every other week, to visit Nancy and Candy, pick out some new books. So in one of those visits, saw the flyer on the door and had visited what the commitment was. She said it was once a quarter, and so I thought, well, I'm going to visit with my spouse about this, make sure he's on board and supportive. He was, and so put in my interest letter. Really, I grew up with a mother who loved to read, visited the library quite often, if not the library, the bookmobile. So that love for reading passed down to me, and I'm trying to pass that on to others. I think reading is a very powerful educational tool for me. It's an escape from the world and the drama that we're all just talking about. And for my kids, I want it to be an educational outlet for them to feel their creativity, what have you. And then, you know, once a quarter, I think I can make that commitment work with my current schedule, with the working full-time and the kiddos at home. So as far as being qualified to serve on the board, out at Coal Creek Station, I started in human resources, so I've served on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council out there. Today, my role is more in training and development, so very much kind of in tune with continuous education. Board experience, I served on the Women's Health Conference Committee here in North Dakota for 5 years. 3 years I was the chair. Currently serving as our Painted Woods Homeowners Association Secretary and Treasurer, not that that means anything, but I've got some experience serving in different capacities, so not going into this blind. Ultimately, help the library advance its mission, serve the community in a fashion that I can give back.
Okay. Just like we asked everybody else, what's your thought on, you know, that grant for those questionable books?
So I, when I reached out to Chelsea, she said it was called the Diversity Grant, and that's all there really was to it, so I had to do some research. I
I didn't really dig into it a whole lot, if I'm honest with you. I do know the donor family, the Andrus family's from Crosby, North Dakota, and I grew up in Wild Rose, so just a hop, skip, and a jump from there. In my opinion, I think if there's free money on the table, it's kind of foolish for us not to reach out and try to take advantage of some of those resources, as long as they don't put our library staff or our board in such a burden, or there's such a hurdle to crawl over in order to qualify for. I think our librarians, you know, they were chosen to fulfill their roles, and so that's their job, is to help pick and choose the selections that come in and out, and the library board is there to serve them, guide them, again, help advance whatever the mission currently is. One individual had said, meet people where they're at. I agree. As far as like kids coming into the library, I go with my kids, but again, they're 4 and 1, so at some certain points in your adolescent life, you start making decisions on your own, and you choose what you want to read and what you want to look at. And someone mentioned TikTok, Facebook, all the things. If they want to know about it, they're going to know about it, whether it's sitting on a library shelf here or not. The other thing too, which I think is great, is that you can, with your library card, you can reach out to Central Dakota Library and get a book that's not on our shelf, and it can be here in a matter of a few days. So that's another consideration.
Sure, and just for fairness, I'm gonna ask you the sexual books question for children. So obviously a huge controversy, that sort of thing. So sexually explicit books, whether it be pictures or very graphic details of that sort of thing, in the children's section, young adult section, what is your opinion on that being provided by the library?
If it serves some type of educational purpose, sure. At the end of the day, it's not my job to decide what your child reads. It's my job to decide what my child reads and has access to. Again, if they want that kind of information, they're gonna get it, whether it's sitting on our library shelf or somewhere else. Again, I feel like the library staff was chosen and selected because they are competent individuals who, you know, make good choices for our community and what's on the shelf. And so again, my job as a library board member would be to help steer and guide them in the right direction and make good choices for all the local libraries, quite honestly.
Anything else?
Nope, that's,
Okay,
nope, yes,
thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for your time.
yeah.
Okay, we have one spot open.
You know, the whole thing about censorship and diversity and everything else, it's all common terms within our society, but being an old-fashioned conservative, I feel very strongly in, you know, they can go out and find it somewhere else, but the library that we are pointing to is a responsibility of ours to provide a safety net, especially for children that are coming into it. And you can hide it under the guise of education and everything else you want, and it's, if they go find it somewhere else, fine. I don't want it to be able to find it in our library.
I agree.
And, so, going along those guidelines is what I would look at. I would move that we would appoint Morgan Happett, as I feel she's gave me the best answers of wanting to protect our children.
I agree, I think she did have the best answers for protecting the children, absolutely.
Can I ask a question?
We have a
Well,
motion on
we
the
have
table.
a motion on the table. So, we have a second?
There is a proper order, so.
I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? What's your question, real quick?
How is this not a conflict of interest for a husband and a wife to sit on the same board? Like, that is not even allowed on a school board. I understand it's not in the bylaws, which she's already said.
Okay, you asked the question.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
It's not uncommon, I mean, Mark and Michelle are not married, but they sit on Michelle's board, both of them.
They're not married. They're not
Correct,
married.
but
Yeah.
living together, and that's.
And you're put,
So we're making up a board of people with all the same views.
yeah.
That is pushing an agenda from the opposite side.
She answered and said she doesn't even read books. Her first meeting said she doesn't even read books.
okay, thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other discussion from the panel? Tim?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain from voting.
Abstain, very good.
Yep.
Don?
No.
I'll vote yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Jamie, did you second that? Okay.
Jimmy did, yep.
Okay, waiver of fees for the,
Emergency services.
memorial building for the EMS banquet.
I would so move.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Okay, Tim?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Memorial Hall flooring, there he is, Bruce. You should have anything.
Hey, Bruce.
My name is Bruce Eiler. I represent American Legion Post 12, and I think all of us have heard complaints about the gym floor or experienced the problems with the gym floor. And it's been a subject with our post for a while, and we'd like to move forward and have the floor replaced. And what I'm after today is basically approval to replace the floor and support, and also, you know, the ability to work with city representatives to complete the task. And I think you all have a copy of that scope of project. We did. Basically, we were looking at a window that, at first it looked pretty good, but it's sort of closed today. If you're doing gym floors, the summer is a bad time to do it because everybody is doing it. All the schools want their stuff done during that period.
Okay.
Our problem is that we've got the gym floor, but we also have the gym rented out for certain things. There's basically 3 windows that are available to do work in the gym, and that's between March 25th and April 22nd. That's like a 5-week period. There's another one June 12th through August 23, and that's a 10-week period. And then there's after September 15th, after a wedding, there's a period where there's nothing really scheduled after that.
They can't do it in the summer?
Well, you know, I thought we were looking at a contractor that would do it, and he told me today he can't at that period. But, you know, there's the different phases of that project is the floor removal and the installation, and also to take care of that entranceway. And we originally we were talking about doing it in 2 phases, have somebody else do the subfloor, and that's what they want. They really want that. But then we put it in 1, because it's nice doing it with 1, because they accept ownership of the whole project, and that's nice too. I don't know if that's possible. It's something that I need to research with the contractors a little bit more, and to see if they're open. Let's say we do split it, are they open to do the floor in the summertime, just the floor? That eliminates a lot of things if we have.
Excuse me, what were the windows in the fall?
I'm sorry,
What was the window in the fall?
You have, let's see,
September.
March 25th through April 22nd, that's 5 weeks. You have June 12th through August 23rd, that's 10 weeks. And then after September 15th, which is after the wedding, there's a wedding on September 15th and 16th, and then there's nothing. You know.
Excuse me, Bruce. So in Chelsea, what does the school use it for in the fall?
They will have basketball down there if, I think it's the younger kids that are in there.
5th and 6th? Okay.
Yeah.
So they probably practice down there, I'm guessing, and they have games down there for sure.
Yeah, because we don't have any volleyball stands, so they don't do any volleyball down there.
No.
It'll just be basketball.
You know, and I guess with going that would be a different story of them knowing 6 months in advance. This March 25th through April 22nd, there's events already booked. June 12th through August 23rd that's ideal for us, but it's not for other people, I understand that. With it being done, having to be done by the 23rd because there is a wedding. And then September 15th would give the school, I guess, time if they had to do something, if that's the only other thing. Our hall is heavily used, but we've given permission and granted waiver of fees for that hall to be used in those dates. They really have nowhere else to go right now, so to spring that upon somebody right now, I just think is a little too quick.
The September one.
And we don't.
No, in March.
March, okay, yeah, I agree.
We don't propose that.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm saying, try to work in the, you know, the open periods. And we even look at the fall as a bad time, just like you're saying, the school, that's when it starts up again.
Right.
And so the first two windows are still, you know, still there. And I don't know, I have to meet with, our board too, but, I guess I'd like to be able to work with the representatives of the commission and with our board, and then look at it and find out, after I find out what the contractors will do.
So we could give you approval and then work out the dates.
Just, right now, we need approval and support.
Sure. You say something?
We don't,
Have you talked to the school yet at all about any of this, or?
no, and we sorta, we felt that, you know, with, they're going to go in that construction mode pretty quick.
Oh, right, yeah.
And, you know, we know they wanna use it and stuff like that, but we're kinda hesitant to say, you know, certain things. But if, you know, I think, you know, we just need to look at the whole thing again and regroup and then talk about it, as things that we can achieve.
Mhm.
There's, you know, with the windows a problem and the underlayment's a little problem, so, you know, just to put some thought behind it and see what we can do to accomplish it without disturbing anybody.
Right.
Or it's gonna happen, just because
Right.
that's gonna be the nature of
Yeah.
how it goes, but the best way that we can to make it work for you guys, people that have rented and, working with the school, because they do put a lot of time in there too, so.
Yes.
So what you're looking for is to, approval to move forward?
Yes, and
Basically.
approval,
Yeah.
support, and also be able to work with the board members, which, you know, we work with Tim, since he's running the buildings, and yourself.
We'd probably have Tim as the main guy.
Yeah, and,
Because he's available, and,
Yeah.
not that Jamie's not available, but Tim's, you know, more
Yeah,
available
is that
during
okay
the
with you,
day.
Jamie, if he's sure, just keep you in the loop? Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, what I plan on doing, visit with our board a little bit more, and then also talk to the contractors and see
Right.
what flexibility we have in doing it in these windows that we have.
And we could check with the athletic director at the school too, and, you know, see whether they can give in the fall to get a new floor, you know?
Yeah. And we're sort of looking at it, you know, at that time, we'll know. I mean, it's safe to look at the end of the year, we kind of hate to look that far ahead, and we'd like to get it done.
Right.
And the Legion is funding this, is correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe through gaming monies, we would fund it. So, anyway, that's what we're up to.
Would you like the motion, Tim?
Yep, I would move that we would approve this. and-
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And once again,
Thank
thank
you,
you very
Bruce.
much.
Yeah, thank you for all your work, man.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Great, so.
Appreciate it.
Development of committee
Yeah.
between city and park board properties.
I can, address that once again. Like I explained last month, the, logistics of this are very cumbersome, and by far, the most concerns that have come from the park board have nothing to do with building and grounds, but have to do with finance, so this doesn't even fit. So that being said, and this by no means we're cutting off communication with the park board, it's just a different route to go through to do it, you know, this just doesn't fit. So anyway, I would move that we would dissolve this committee, and the park board can address through finance or whatever they need to do. They can still come to building and grounds, but it doesn't have to be an official committee.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Discussion? Tim?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Mark, financial issues, Washburn Park Board. The finance issue thing, so.
I think it's okay. That's why I was like, but it should happen.
Hi. This is Lynette, she's also on the board. I guess we just want to thank you for accepting our letter and looking into
Yeah, absolutely.
the funding.
No problem.
Hopefully we can come to a resolution.
Well, okay, you know, I guess I'll start it out here, you know, you guys received a letter from the city.
Correct.
Right, you know, and basically the gals have done, wow, so much work. You know, it's been a nightmare for them, I know, and.
They've been a pleasure to work with.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess, do you have concerns? I mean, what's your concerns right now? Did the letter explain everything to you, or?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so the direction moving forward, it's, what will happen now?
Okay,
That
well.
you discovered the error that took place, and then what are we doing moving forward?
Basically, what we could find was, Chelsea, maybe you can explain it better, starting at maybe 2005, when Janine left.
Yeah, I don't know, the only year, so with the, thankfully the state had the records that they did have that went all the way back to 2005, where that amount was. That is the only year that we could find that we received that state aid money in those 4 quarters, and then where it was turned around and paid out to the park board with that 20%. And you can see that with the payments that went out with the money that we came in, that matched that 20%. That's the only year that it was matched up with what we received, because we can't go back any farther. If we could go back, I guess, to 2004, 2003, we could maybe find those amounts as well, but the state doesn't hold on to them. I don't know that we can find them going back that far. So thankfully, we had 2005, and within our meeting minutes, that 20%. There was a new auditor, I think, in 2005, or a couple of them were, one left and one came on. I don't know if it was something that she knew about and didn't pass it on to their thing, and then it just got missed from there on out after that, and then it was never actually paid as a payment then where you can, we saw it distinct in that year for 2005. The park board did request a levy every single year to the city, and they were paid out that quarterly payment if they
Is that what that
requested
was?
money. And so
There was-
maybe if that's just how it got switched and that's how it got paid. Because then I did, when we spoke with David, I was like, hey, can you explain this to me, does this work? And he said, yes, being the city budgets for state aid as an income, and they were budgeting for the park board, and they were receiving those quarterly payments in that, that constitutes for receiving that money. 2018 was the last year that the park board received those funds in a quarterly payment from the budgeting amount. So 2019 wasn't, they budgeted for the park board, but it was somehow in there that if they wanted that money, they would just like to know what the park board, the big expenditures were for spending on it. So nothing was paid out quarterly to the park board off that budget, and from there on out, there was been no budgeted amount in the city's budget for the park board. So it would go back, being 2005 is the only year we can go off of based on 20%. So from 2019, I probably just paid all, I guess it could go in one, from then being paid in March for the end of February of 23, we'd go based off of what we received. It was quarterly, now it's a monthly payment of that stated of 20%. That would go to the park board. And then moving forward, it could be a monthly payment, because we receive it monthly, that the park board could receive monthly. We receive it in February. It would then go with like our March payments going out. When we do our payments going out to you, once then we'd reconcile our bank.
Okay.
And then that would just be, I guess, going forward how it would go. And 20% is the only certain amount I can, so I don't know how to go based off that.
That century code was very vague, because
It was
based off like some 1996
Six.
year.
Right.
And I mean, it wasn't an actual percentage, it wasn't an actual defined number,
Yeah.
so.
And I don't know if there's something else going, or, you know, who has that bark, so I mean, that is what we could go from and what we have found for all the payments that went out, and, I mean, I have them all written down, and
Yeah, because it looks like
Erica
that.
does, actually,
yeah.
she did it, so.
Yeah, and it looked like there was a nice printout you guys also, we had, where it was
Yeah.
nicely laid
So,
out.
unfortunately, yeah, that's just, and 20% then is what we could find, so.
Yep.
What's that 20% of what total?
The 20% would be what the city receives for state aid per month, would then go to the park board.
How much was that in those years?
Well,
It really
we're
varies.
still reviewing it,
Okay.
and,
Yeah.
you know, we
Yeah.
wanna go through the finance committee to review these figures, and then, then we'll get a final figure, and then
And the
it'll
month-
be monthly after that.
Yeah, it varies every month depending on what it is, because the state aid comes from a couple different things from the state. A good portion of it goes to the county, a little portion of it comes to the cities, and then that's how it gets trickled down on what we get paid. So, it's, it varies month to month, but it's a rough percentage, I guess, so.
Is that,
Yeah, that makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, they've come a long ways, they're just not there yet, but
Right.
Right,
Dawn,
they're working
It's
on
close.
it.
Yeah.
Dawn and Larry are finance portfolio, so between those two and Chelsea,
I don't
and Eric, you could
I know it.
Yeah, and I don't know if
get
it's
your
something that just
questions
got
answered, so.
missed, or how that it was determined, or,
Yeah, and the thing is, that's where I didn't know, because, I mean, maybe Heddles would, do the books for us, so it, also they had turnover at some point between Cammy and
Mhm.
Paul coming in, and,
Yeah.
yeah.
got missed as well on that end, so.
So basically, what are you asking them?
To look into those funds to find out, because Larry had stated that we used to get those funds and then it stopped.
Right, it's so we get back on track, so we can give them what they're supposed to get.
Right.
And that's, and
Yeah, there's
we're
like-
definitely fine with that, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
and
way it's
there's
supposed
like
to
a
be.
country code that states
Yeah.
the state funding
Yep.
based off this number from 1996
Yep.
comes from the city to the park board.
Right.
Yeah, so I think looking at 19 and up, correct?
Yeah, so it would go from, 19, because they received those quarterly payments in 18, that's when it ended. So we would go from 19, I guess, to current then, and then it would be a monthly payment that would come,
Yep.
since ours are monthly now.
Real quick. So, the city budgets for the park board
Not anymore,
Not anymore.
every year?
not anymore.
Not anymore.
And why is that?
Because the park board they're able to levy their own monies.
That's from the county though, right?
It's city tax.
Yeah, it's just the payment comes from the county to us.
So, I guess my question is, a few years ago, up until now, the park board comes and requests money from you guys, and they're always denied. Why is that?
Well,
And then
they haven't
then
always,
have to have
but they
fundraising.
haven't always been denied, I mean,
When's the last time
they,
you guys gave them money?
may I? So they've gotten many, many times from the sales and use tax, many, many times. Which is what that was for back then. And then it went to the committee, see. So, but, the thing is, the park board can levy their own money. And, the city shouldn't be levying money just so we can give it to the park board.
Yeah, I think that they're the only other entity that can
Can
levy their,
Yeah.
they have
But
up
when
to
there's
30,
state aid that was paid,
they have
Well,
up
and not given to them.
That's what we're correcting now.
That's what we're correcting now.
Yeah, so, okay. Anything else as far as finance issues?
No, it's just a work in progress.
It's work in progress, and hopefully it'll be very
Yeah,
soon.
so between those two and these two.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we hope that we can continue to work with Chelsea and
Absolutely.
Eric.
Absolutely.
Want you to?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Mark,
Lynette.
you're next. Do you have something about ash dumpster, grass dumpster, and tree piles?
Sure. What made me think of this is, you made a very good comment at the last month's meeting about the use of the grass dumpsters, that as long as you're using Circle C, you're part of the garbage, that, which I totally agree with. I told the girls about that. So, but I think that's something that should be explained to the community if they're not aware. So we're not getting contractor dumping in there or commercial dumping, things like that.
Well, I think that's why we have signs down there.
Well,
Um,
I think that sign is more for the tree branches, correct?
Well, yeah, maybe not for the grass dumpsters, I guess, but, I mean, I don't know how many people out of town are gonna bring grass
Grass
dumpsters
dumpsters all the
in,
way to
but-
town.
Well, that's just,
Yeah, oh, okay, no, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen that as an issue where outside people have been dumping?
some for the dumpsters?
For grass.
For grass and like,
Well,
you've
I-
seen,
I
I mean,
guess-
because if you've seen it outside, then it's
Well,
a different view.
I guess it depends on if you have a neighbor kid that goes around and mows lawns for people and then dumps grass down there, if he's considered a commercial or not.
Well, grass and trees are two completely different things.
Right.
You know, we've had people sneak in with their big trees and dump them.
Commercial
And it's
dump.
really tough.
I guess my question was, just so if you were trying to explain it, have you seen somebody, say, outside of town that's not paying their monthly bill to the city for garbage on their utility bill, dumping grass out there where it's becoming a concern, where our grass dumpsters are filling up a lot quicker from outside people who aren't paying that monthly fee?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, just if it was an issue.
The commercial dumping is part of the tree ordinance,
Mhm.
and I don't believe it has anything to do with, that was, it was never an issue of people bringing in grass.
Right.
So,
The one question I do have on the ordinance for the tree branch dumping,
Okay.
Chelsea was nice enough to give this to me. It talks about the city may, waive, the discretion of commercial dumping if we have an incident.
that would be in case of like a major storm, something, a natural disaster,
Or
act of
takes
God.
down city trees or something, and we can.
And we put that in there for a reason,
Yep.
because.
Right.
Yeah,
Because it's happened in the past.
Okay.
it has happened in the past, yeah.
Well, I guess what I look at is, there's some people that can't afford to buy equipment to haul, like a trailer, a pickup, and things like that, or elderly that can't take down trees themselves. And, so they have to hire. Well, then it costs them more to haul those out of town, even though they're residents.
Really, I mean, if somebody has that issue, I would think they should come to the city and ask
That's just what I was gonna say.
You know what I mean?
We
To
can
my
make an
knowledge-
exception. To my knowledge,
Sure.
there's never been someone that's come and said, hey, I can't,
Right.
whatever, so.
I've never heard of that either.
Right.
Some, Chris?
We can make an exception to
I
the
think
rule.
to stem some issues the park board had last summer, where we had Kugler come in and take some trees out that were infected and stuff, and he had to haul them out, he couldn't dump them in the city lot because he's commercial. That's what I think Mark's after here.
So it has nothing to do with elderly people then?
Well, it does, I mean, in a sense it does, but we're talking, this is, I mean, John, helped the park board out there before he had to haul, I mean, where he couldn't just go dump them in the city
So
park.
my
That was-
question is, would he have charged you less?
Probably not.
There you go.
Well, I'm just saying, I think that's what he's after here,
so-
where, I mean, instead of beating around the bush,
Thank you.
let's just
Right.
get the nuts and bolts of it, then we
Well,
had an issue
yeah.
where I couldn't take care of it because it was such a big job.
Yep.
We hired Kugler to come and do it, and then he had to haul them wherever he hauled them, he couldn't haul them to the dump. Where if I were to do it, I don't know.
Well, maybe, you talk to our city guys, maybe they can help you out a little bit of something,
Sure.
so.
That would
Well, I
be
wasn't
great.
around, I wasn't around at the time.
Yeah, he was on
So-
vacation.
It kind of depends on what it is, but, you can talk to them.
What
see
the situation is.
That maybe if the city or the park board runs into a situation where we have to take some trees down, maybe we can come to the city and try to say, hey, is it okay if we bring our branches down here?
Nothing over 4 inches though.
Oh, definitely, right. This is just for information.
So you said you were gonna come representing yourself, now you're representing park board, I mean, just,
No, it was,
okay, that's fine.
you brought up the park board, I
That's
didn't
fine.
bring up the park board.
That's fine, go ahead.
Okay, I talked to both Wilton and Underwood. It might help you guys out if you guys were to allow contract dumping, you could charge them.
Got an extra one?
Sure.
Thank you.
We got one for everyone.
Sure.
And then maybe that would offset some of your expenses, because I know it's not cheap to keep pushing the piles up.
Well, the thing about Wilton, they actually have an old mine site where they put
Yeah.
all their stuff, so it's
Right.
really, they don't have to burn it, they don't have to do anything.
Sure.
And Underwood, I don't know what they have, but I'm assuming they have someplace out of town, or we have in town, I think there's a south town, but,
Yeah, they created that spot.
yeah.
And then, one thing too, just for information, the city of Underwood, they burn their pile twice a year.
Oh, do they?
So it doesn't get too big, because I know, Larry, that, when we talked about starting this,
I know, right?
we had a big pile one year, and we thought we would never have that again.
I know,
Well,
I know.
it's just as big every year, so.
Yeah, we leave it up to the fire department when
Right.
they feel comfortable,
Yeah.
then,
But I just thought I'd put that out there. I
Yeah.
asked Underwood, how much tree branches do they get?
yeah.
And they said that they burn it twice a year,
Yeah.
so they don't have such a big fire.
And I definitely am
But
not
that's
opposed
totally
to,
up
I'm
to
not
you
opposed
guys.
to that, sure.
Yeah.
Because it's huge.
Would we overwhelm that? I mean, if just within the city limits of Washburn, trees could be brought down here, I mean, would it extremely overwhelm the compound with those people bringing trees within the city limits on a yearly basis? I mean,
You mean contractors or what?
just,
Or,
I mean,
I'm not sure what you're
if
asking.
a contractor has to cut a tree down for a citizen of Washburn, and they took it down there, would that overwhelm the compound?
Well, I think the point is, you're a business.
Cost of
You
doing
know,
business.
we don't take Ed's tires, we don't take used oil from the machinery dealers, we don't,
Or RDO.
RDO, whoever, we don't, it's called the cost of doing business, that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
Where do you stop? I mean, it's like, well, you do it for them, why can't you do this for me? You know what I mean? And we've gone through this over and over with different, aspects of things,
Yep.
and we've had some heated people in business, but where do you draw the line?
But
From
a business standpoint, I never asked somebody to get rid of my waste, I paid to get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. And that's kind of where, I think in the past, we've kind of decided that's where we're at.
Richard's got a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, if I pay taxes, and I personally bring stuff down here, it's okay, but if I hire somebody, then I gotta pay my taxes anyway, and still pay them to haul it away.
I mean, if you hire a commercial tree remover.
I don't care who they are, if I hire them, they have to be a licensed one for it to count, or what?
Just as commercial.
It's called a contractor.
Yeah.
So if they cut the tree down,
He's working for you, he's a contractor.
so if he cuts it down, leaves it in your yard, you haul it down, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Well, according to the ordinance, yeah.
Well, the thing is, nothing over 4 inches, so,
Right,
you still gotta haul away the other stuff, so,
yeah, big stuff still has to.
so.
Yeah, I guess just in regards to this, thank you so much, Mark, for obviously seeing what could be some possible problems
Yeah, I
with
appreciate
newer
that.
ordinance, for sure, if you see, an older lady or man or whatever that has trouble, it's really good things to be thinking about, and I guess just good communication would be kind of a really way to handle this, even with the park board, if they had too much trees, if they had some issues, and maybe there's an extra fee that could be waived from Kugler or whatever, and we could, obviously just good communication and working together with these sorts of things would be. So if you discover that this is an issue, you hear from people in this direction, I'm sure we can maybe discuss it. or something
I know
like
the
that.
city's got the equipment, but, like, when we had that storm that came through, we lost like 14 trees down at Riverside Park. It was too much for us to take care of, so we had to bring a contractor in back there.
Well, like I said, then you come to the city and go, hey, this is what
Right,
we're dealing
right,
with,
yeah.
and then we.
I'm
we'll
glad
try and
that
work
you're
on it.
there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. Eric, wherever you are. Kind of warm.
You in the hot seat? Like to see engineers on the hot seat.
Well, you give me good practice, Don, so should be used to it by now.
Tim, you doing okay for time?
I'm fine.
Okay.
So, just for an update, number of things, I haven't seen you guys, last couple meetings, but wanna talk with the water supply project first. So our period of performance for the FEMA grant that the city got back in 2019, was supposed to be, done by March of this year. We've extended it twice, We extended it in 2021, we extended it in 2022, it's a one-year extension on those. So we're running to the end of our FEMA grant, so, I've been in touch with the Department of Emergency Services, that's who we've worked through for the FEMA grant that the city got for the intake project. And they encouraged us to put in a reimbursement request for the local share that the city has paid on the intake project so far. So right now, we're just working with them and trying to sort out some stuff with the State Water Commission, because there's some policy that they have when it comes to, because the city has a grant through the State Water Commission as well for the intake. So when you have a grant, multiple grants going there's some things we gotta work out there to make sure that we can get, all of the, reimbursement for the city on what they've spent so far on the intake. So, I have good feelings that we're gonna be able to get that all to work out, but I just wanted to let you know that it's nothing set in stone yet, and
Right.
we're working on getting that reimbursement for the city.
Is there a time frame on that to where they'll?
Well, I'm working with, Todd and Justin from DES,
Okay.
and what I would like to do, is, within the next week or so, if possible, if I could, have Larry meet with them.
Yep.
'Cause Larry's been on that from the very
From day
beginning.
one, yep.
And he knows those guys, so if we can just talk about that reimbursement request and what they need from us, to make that happen. And it should be a simple process, but because there's different grants involved, that's what makes it, of course, you know, nothing can be very simple where you can just put a request in and get your grant reimbursement. So, just wanna make sure we're dotting the i's and crossing all the t's on that. So, so Larry and I have talked about that offline, and we'll continue to communicate on what we need to do with those guys to get the city's reimbursement reimbursement request to go through for that FEMA grant.
Even with all the grants and everything, you're still gonna end up short on money though, correct?
Yes, so this
Well,
grant,
you know.
we know that this grant will be turned back, okay? So maybe I should have backed up and said that. The intake project's been going for a long time. We know we had some unfortunate luck with the State Water Commission and with FEMA, and to be able to get all the funding that the city needed to make the project affordable, right? So it's been a long road with that. But we know that this FEMA grant will have to be turned back, so we're just trying to get, the reimbursement for the city on everything they've spent. So that would be the positive out of that, and, you know, so if we can get that to work out, that's the goal.
Okay.
The Red River Valley Water Supply Project, that's in there with the water supply project updates. So that continues to roll on. There has been, some news reports and articles out there. There's been some project and funding discussions at the North Dakota State Legislature, the session that's ongoing right now. So I would just encourage you guys to track that and follow that.
Yep.
So we're continuing to watch that project, and also, you know, be in touch with, representatives from Dairy Conversion and, LAWA. LAWA is like AUC Water Authority, to see how their project continues to develop and if that could be an option for the city, for a water supply, because they just built that intake.
Are they gonna come down and talk to us again?
That's something that's, very, very possible in the near future. There's the representatives from LAWA that want to talk with the city.
Okay.
So, that's something that we're looking at right now. Okay, and then the other thing was, that I wanted to give an update on, and I've already mentioned them, is the Department of Water Resources, it's the North Dakota State Water Commission. So the city's had a grant from them for a new water supply project. It was the city's intake project for many years now. And, we had a funding increase request that was out there for that project that was, essentially not acted on by the State Water Commission. They did not give a yes or no answer like the city wanted to have for the increase request to go forward on that project. So that it's kind of sputtered out. What they have said to us is that they want the city to, do a new request for funding once the city would decide if they were gonna go forward with the intake project. And right now, it's not something that we're looking at real hard at this point, just based off of what things cost now in this present time to build that project and what the city can afford. So, you know, we'll keep in touch with them. We're working with them, like I said, to make sure we can get that, FEMA grant reimbursement to go through as well.
I have a question for you, probably not to throw you off the subject too much, but, this project, intake project, is it a possibility to use our present intake and then extend it further out into the river? Or is that not an option?
That's not really an option, and Don, this is something that we've looked into years ago, we did a project back in 2010, that was I would say an upgrade to what the existing intake was. But when you have a conventional intake and water comes into a well, and you pump that to the water plant, put simply, that well is only so deep, and where it is right now, on the city side of the river, it wouldn't be able to really work to extend a pipe out because we don't have enough fall to the bottom of that well. The well would have to be deeper.
Is that
We
right?
looked at that as an option to maybe refurbish the existing intake and wet well, but that wasn't a feasible option from the study that we did on that, and that was done years ago.
And the cost of doing something like that is higher than cost of putting in a new line?
Not necessarily, that, it would have to be rebuilt, so, not really.
Okay.
And if you're gonna rebuild something, you might as well do it the right way, where we know the low channel is in the river, and that was gonna be pretty costly to do that.
Well, and not only that, you know, with the issue of sand,
Yep.
it very likely would be covered before too long.
Unfortunately for Washburn fortunately for Washburn, you have the river going right by it, right? But the bad part is the Missouri River has great quality water, but the bad part is it carries a lot of sediment as well. And it's always dropping sediment off, and where the intake is right now, it just gets sediment dumped on it a lot. So that's where the city's had issues with that when we have low flows, right? So that's what we're trying to correct, is get to that deeper channel, which is on the other side of the river. Yeah.
I don't wanna extend this too much, but doesn't the river change over time, like years or whatever? Right now, we're in a cycle where all the water flows on technically the west side of the river. Wouldn't that change sometime and then put us in the same bind again?
Not necessarily. The river does change. The river is very dynamic, right? It's been changing. It continues to change since the dam's been built, okay? And we're gonna see it continue to do that for years yet to come. And it might not be something that you can see year by year. It's a long-term process,
But
right?
where the pipe is now, it's as deep as it can go.
Because the channel's not deep enough, right there.
Channel's not deep enough.
Yeah.
The other side of the river, I know, is a deeper
It
channel.
has a deeper channel, and historically, it's proven to have a deeper channel and a more consistent channel over there. That's why we wanted to go over
That
there.
has been the main channel for
Yeah.
50, 60 years.
Okay.
When we were kids. Yep.
Or longer.
And that's why we want, but when you now build a new intake on the other side of the river, and then you have to pump that water across the river, the cost of the project
Gets
continues to
expensive.
climb, yeah, so.
Okay.
It's
Just
just a tough spot.
I don't know if I ever asked that question before about extending our present line or not, but I just had to find out because I was kinda curious why it would be more cost than actually putting in a new line, you know?
I mean, because you wanna be able to build that where that low flow channel is more consistently at, and where it has been the last, like Larry said,
Okay.
40 or 50 years.
Okay.
But it does change. It is a challenge to build a conventional intake on this river. It can be done if you can get those more ideal locations, if you can do things with the shoreline to armor it to direct flows a little bit, but that's something that takes a lot of hoops you gotta jump through to get permitting to happen, to be able to change, to put things in the river.
How much deeper is it on the other side compared to the side
It
where it
changes. It changes a lot, Don, and we've done bathymetric surveys and studies where we've shown where the river channel has shifted. Big events like the 2011 flood caused a lot of change in the river, big time. Events like in 2018, we had a sustained period of high river flows in 2018. Not necessarily the flood of 2011, but that changed the river quite a bit too. So, you never can predict exactly what's gonna happen with it.
But the other side has got a better channel going through and it is deeper.
Yes.
And sand doesn't collect on that side as much as it does
I
on
mean,
our
it
side.
can, but it's proven to be better over there than it is on this side.
Okay, go on, I asked my question.
I was just gonna, real quickly, I was gonna point out that, you know, as far as the Red River Valley Water Supply Project, Rainbow Energy will be having a meeting on the 28th to explain their long-term plans. And that could affect us if they get water from down here and they go past, we might be able to possibly just tie on off their line. But we'll know more after like the 28th, so, and I'll be attending that meeting.
Yep, and hopefully they can give some good information for the long-term plan, and of
Right.
course, those things can always change. You know what happened with Blue Flint when the city went down that path, and they were able to, I mean, for them, it made more sense to be able to enter the long-term water contract with Rainbow, and that's where they were able to get their water, but,
Right.
you know, we had that project to try to get that, but
Exactly.
we know how that went. Okay, so on the water supply project end of things, is there any questions that you guys have? Funding, or Valley project, anything like that? Otherwise, I'll go to the street project. We're getting real close here. Over the last few months, we've met with the city's, committee. We met with Larry and Keith, on the 30% and 90% reviews of the plans. We have the 100% plans here, in the cost estimate for the project. I think would welcome any questions you guys have on the street project, and the plans, as they are.
So basically, the plans haven't really changed, like almost nil from the 90%.
They've changed, there's been a few changes, but not too much from the
Right.
90% plan.
Right.
Yes, they're very, very much, similar to that.
And that was stuff that we had talked about at
Yep,
that 90%.
the feedback you guys got, we incorporated, we made the adjustment on the cost estimate that you had for the inlet structures. We added some more information, detail on the lots, I think, and we showed some more detail on how we're handling the drainage and runoff on Linden Lane.
Yeah,
things like
I
that.
did review those, because you had sent them out to me, you know, today, and I did review them before the meeting, so.
Those gate valves that you guys are taking out and putting back in, what are those gate valves?
What are they?
Yeah, what?
So it's a gate valve for the water main.
Oh,
And-
for the main water
Yep,
main.
and this is gonna make it easier for Adam to be able to do some isolations and to fix if we have any leaks, or, I know there's some valves that aren't working, that Adam's seen that they don't work. So we're replacing a new valve, near Northgate, is one of the valves, and then along Linden, we're adding another valve by Linden, and then we're replacing 2 valves on Linden as well.
Okay.
So it's a four valves total, I think, but it's gonna make it much easier for Adam to be able to conduct some maintenance activities and to isolate if there's any leaks.
So you're
It's
gonna-
just- if we're gonna have the street torn up, now's the time to put valves in.
And you're gonna remain with, gate valves then, and you're gonna put in, a better gate valve that's in there now?
It's gonna be a new gate valve.
I know, that's just asking, you know?
Yeah, I don't know the brand, exactly that it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a 2023 gate valve, so it's gonna be a lot better than
Okay.
whatever one we have in there now.
I'm
And
just
if-
asking, you know, may as well
If
get
the
the
guys,
best one.
if Adam and his crew are doing good maintenance and exercising those valves, there should be no reason why they don't last a long time.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. Is there any questions on the cost estimate or any of the plans that you guys might have? Where we're at right now with the plans and specs is we would like, I know that, David Lindell, the city's attorney, has prepared the resolutions that we need to have approved. And the first resolution that we'd like to have the city approve is for the resolution to approve the final plans and specs. And this is something that we have to do for the, special assessment.
He has joined these two together,
Okay,
so we'll be doing them,
do
the
them both at once?
resolution will be together.
Okay, so the first, so the resolutions are for approval of the final plans and specs and to advertise for bids.
Okay, I have a question then, projects like this always end up with a lot of problems, or could have problems. Is there contingency plans to have, follow-up and stuff? And will that 10% cover the follow-up?
Okay, so, you mean like plans of construction, like if there's,
Yeah,
something doesn't go as
yeah,
planned,
something
or?
doesn't go as well, or or the concrete or the curb and gutter doesn't go as well, or maybe cracks or something right away after they put it in, will that 10% cover any of the contingency problems?
So if there's warranty items, you're talking about warranty items.
Yes.
So if concrete cracks, if the, the new storm sewer pipe they put in washes out.
Right.
And if it's found it's due to their installation, then yes, that's something that contractor will have to replace. There is a warranty period for 1 year after the project's completed, and that contractor is held to that. There will be a project representative on site to monitor the construction activities and making sure that the project's being built per the plans and specs. And anything that we can see will be noted down, and photos will be taken so that those warranty activities will be taken care of within that first year.
Okay.
But I would encourage, there will be a walkthrough that we'll do with the city, whether it's somebody from, I would guess it'd be Keith or Larry from the streets, and then Adam as well will be around to be able to look at the project, to accept the project. The contingencies are more if we have if there's something that was missed and there's a change order. That's why we have the 10% contingencies on there, and that's to show you that this is the budget we intend on keeping. So there's the construction cost on there. That's my best estimate on the construction cost. That's the first line there at the bottom. And then there's the 10% contingencies, and then there's the fees, and then the final total project cost is the bottom line.
Okay, construction projects like this, there's always, say, another product comes out there that's better than some of the products you're putting in there then. Would you recommend that they put in the better product rather than the thing that's listed here in the construction?
I guess if you're talking about something that's a better product, like superior product, if it's something that the city would be willing to pay for, that they deem as appropriate, then
you would make some sort of a recommendation then, I would take it?
If the city wanted to look at other options for different products, I'm not sure what those would be, because this being a street project, there's not too many things that we could do differently, but, if there's something new.
I'm just asking a broad question.
Yeah, I would most certainly hear your concerns and look into what that might be and provide a recommendation if it's financially feasible or worth the city's money.
And it
to
would
pay.
be a city meeting if we were you might, converse with me or whoever, and then, but any changes like that would come before the full commission.
Okay, just asking.
So you looking for a motion, Larry, to approve that?
Well, we'll read the resolution.
Okay.
And then, I think we're ready for the resolutions, correct?
Yeah.
I believe
Yep.
we are. So I have a real quick question before I read them. Do you have to advertise for 3 weeks or 2?
For 3.
Okay, he's got 2 written here, we'll change that to 3.
Okay, yep, I think we have it on our ad for bid, that we want to do it starting on, because the paper comes out on Thursday.
Right.
So it'll be Thursday, the next 3 Thursdays in a row.
Right.
And then we wouldn't open bids until at least a week after that last advertisement. So I think the schedule that we have is Thursday is going to be the 16th. So the 16th, the 23rd, and I think March 2nd is the next 3 Thursdays in a row. And then I would propose at the March 9th, the bid opening would be on March 9th, Thursday, March 9th.
Yeah. Okay, so, City of Washburn, North Dakota, resolution approving detailed plans and specifications and directing advertisement for construction bids for Washburn Street Improvement District number 2022-1. Be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Washburn, North Dakota, that the detailed plans and specifications and estimates for construction of the Washburn Street Improvement District number 2022-1 I have prepared by the engineer and considered by the governing body and are approved and directed to be filed in the office of the engineer and the city auditor and make available for inspection by all persons interested. Be it further resolved that the proposals for the construction of the improvement shall be advertised for in the official newspaper once each week for 3 consecutive weeks, being in the form required by law and specifying the work to be done according to the plans and specifications on file in the office of the city auditor, calling for bids upon the basis of cash payment for the work and stating the time within which the bids will be received and the time within which the work is due to be completed, dated up this 13th day of February 2023. Just So we would need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion on the resolution. Tim?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Go.
Okay, great. So, that'll start on Thursday, and then, the schedule will be to give that at least 21 days of advertisement, March 9th. That will be the bid opening, scheduled, it'll be right here at 2 o'clock on Thursday, March 9th. We'll open the bids. And then, I think what I have on the schedule is, or what I do have on the schedule here is to award the bid, or for the city to award the bid on the regular March 13th meeting, next month's meeting.
Okay.
So Thursday, we'll open the bids, and then, between then and Monday, we'd have the time to look at them, verify we have everything we need on those, and I would provide my recommendation, to who to award the bid to.
Okay.
And we did talk, I had Chelsea talk with David, he'll be able to make it up for that.
Great,
So,
great.
Right.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep, he said he'd be up.
And yeah, I'm sure, Keith and Larry are tracking, because we've met a couple times, throughout this process. But the estimate on the project price did come down. There's been some favorable bids that have come out, recently, that, allowed me to take some of those unit prices down on, I think, we came down on asphalt price a little bit and gravel, so I think that helps a little bit. So, hopefully, we're still in the really good bidding season. So, on the project that I took that information from, we had 6 bidders, 6 primes, that were interested in the project. So that's a good number, and if we can get 4, 5, 6 bidders, that'll be good for this one. So just wanted to share that information from what I'm seeing right now in the industry.
And when would it start then, once we got the bids in?
Yep, so if we award the bid, in March, at the March meeting next month, typically it's about 4 or 5 weeks of just the contracts, getting the contracts set up. So that would put us into April. If we have good weather, and the city's okay with it, that could be something that they could start early. I typically wouldn't recommend starting until May. Usually,
Right.
you might get like, hey, it's a fall, spring type of thing, and you'd rather not tear up in the streets, too early. So, I would see that starting in May would be very feasible. But it's gonna depend also on the contractor that's the winning bidder and what they have available on their schedule. Because we're early in with our advertisement here, though, they could very well be put at the front of their schedule, so,
How long is this project gonna take?
I have it forecasted to be about 18 weeks.
18 weeks?
Yep, so, 14 to 18 weeks, it just depends on the outfit too, on who's coming out here and how many people they have available to work on it.
So it'll be done before winter then?
Oh, yeah, yep, it has to be, it has to be. Yep, no, and obviously, the quicker the better, as long as they're doing good work. If they're doing really good work and they can get it done quicker, that's great. So we're gonna make sure that it's done right.
I have a question. Sorry, so I'm not sure if any of the funding is part of the grant, or is it just all the city paying for this particular thing, or is there grants for this street project?
For this particular street project, there wasn't any grant.
Okay, so if you do include GBEs or anything like that, do those entail, can you get, grants or any kind of leniency when you do provide that?
Right, so, typically, if the city was pursuing, funds through USDA or, the state through SRF, then there would be, they would look at DBEs, and that, but, the next thing I was gonna talk about on my list was funding. So, the city, what I've recommended the city is to go with the Bank of North Dakota loan, and, there isn't any, the good thing is for the borrower of a BND loan is that there isn't extra requirements on the loan, and that's good because, then if there's no extra ties to the funding, it's easier for the contractor, and if we can make things easier on the contractor, that's better because then you'll get better bids. So, it is nice to go after some of those, programs that might have grants available, but sometimes the grant money that you get offsets because you have ties to the project that will increase the price of that project. So,
Also, if I may, we're also gonna, put in some sales and use tax dollars into buying down this project also.
So I know that, Abby has been working with Chelsea on getting the BND loan app prepared. And I think we're real close on that.
Yeah, I
So-
just have one more document for these year-end financials to send to
Okay.
her with that report, and otherwise then she has everything, so.
What
Yeah.
loan were you going for? Is it just like a flat out loan, or are we gonna go like a particular one?
The Bank of North Dakota infrastructure loan.
Okay.
Yep.
We're trying to build right now, so I'm trying to key in what you're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I was,
Okay.
asking.
Sure.
Okay. Yep. And BND has done well, I think, by our North Dakota citizens to have good programs out there for low-cost loans. So, we have worked with BND on many projects, and they've been great. So, and this was recommended by Abby, and you take Abby's recommendation over mine any day when it comes to funding, because she's great, with that. So, I don't think we need a motion to submit the loan application, but I just wanted to
I don't believe
let
we
you
do.
guys know that that's what we're looking at doing next. And I don't have a timeline on when that loan could be approved, but they're gonna wanna see that we have, a project bid out and
Right.
awarded a contract before they're gonna,
Right.
they won't give you the loan until you actually need the money to pay
Right.
a contractor to do the work, so.
Yeah, no, I don't think we need a motion to do that. It's just an application, so.
Okay. And that's all I have right now for the street
Any
project.
questions on that?
Okay. And Adam I'm gonna steal his thunder probably, but, just working with Adam on some maintenance actions and equipment upgrades at the water plant, getting some new turbidimeters, and I don't know if, did you get those ordered already too, Adam, or
No,
still
we
kinda
haven't.
working on that?
We won't have those here until next month, so.
Okay, okay, so,
They're really bad, or what?
Well, some of them don't work anymore, they don't make those parts anymore, so.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What a shock.
I think we got a good handle on it though,
Yep.
which one we wanna
Yep.
get, so. I think that's all I have for you guys. If there's any questions that, you guys have or that you think about later, feel free to call or email, I can get back to you. But looking forward to, starting to get this thing advertised and getting this project going, so.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you guys.
So the leader has all the info that they need?
Yes, I sent that over this afternoon, so as long as it was good to go and approved, they will have it advertised on Thursday
Okay,
in the
cool.
paper.
Awesome.
I'll double check with them in the morning, but,
Oh, yeah, I would appreciate that.
Tim? I have nothing on my portfolio, but gentlemen, I'll have to leave. I got a 2-hour drive, so.
You're excused.
Thank you, so, see you guys.
Drive safe.
You bet, thanks.
Don't hit any deer.
I'll try not.
I've seen plenty of them alongside the road.
Don't let the grandchildren wear you out.
Oh, that's all 7 of them, I know, so. See you guys.
Jamie?
I'm good.
Keith?
We've had lots of streets and library stuff, so I have nothing new to report.
Don?
I don't have a word to say.
I'm good. Chelsea?
reminder, City Hall is closed on Monday for President's Day. What? I know, another holiday off. We are still looking for, a janitor who would like to come in and clean, it's the City Hall, the library, the Memorial Building, and the water treatment plant. Hours are flexible, you can pretty much work when you want, within reason. I can provide more information if somebody's interested. If there is a kid that's 18 years or older that would like a summer job, we are also hiring for summer help.
Possibly two, huh? Possibly?
Yeah, one for sure, possibly two. And I think that's really all I have.
I
got something.
Yep. You're not
I was
ready yet?
watching
Yeah.
earlier today.
Adam, nothing? Okay, anything from the crowd?
I was watching earlier tonight, and the thing that disturbs me is how dysfunctional you guys are with working with the park board. They had trees that they wanted taken down, and you guys are gonna make them haul them someplace else. Isn't the park board and the city together? They get the money and funding from you guys, right?
I have
Why are-
I have no idea, they bring this stuff up afterwards, so I don't know,
Well, why does the park board even have to come to here and ask your permission to dump trees back there is what I wanna know.
Well, the park board, if they do it, but they hire a contractor, and contractors.
Who cares?
Well, because that's the way our ordinance is.
That doesn't matter, it's part of the city.
Okay.
We're paying for that.
I think part of it would be, because then we'd see the contractor back here, we wouldn't necessarily know it was from the park board, so having that good communication is all that we.
That I could
for
see,
that, right.
but I mean,
Yeah.
And
And
like
then
I
to sit there
said,
and tell, oh,
we
nothing
said
over
we'd
4
work with
inches.
them on this, you know, so, I mean, and I don't know what you really want, Kip.
Well, I want you guys and the park board and them guys to work together better.
Oh, I did too.
It seems like every meeting that there's a park board, and this trends back 12 years now that I've been around, it's from day one, that park board and the city never got along.
Okay.
It's like a fight all the time. If somebody's complaining about something, somebody doesn't like somebody, I mean, it's like Bismarck and Mandan trying to do something together, and here we are in our own little town.
Okay. Sure, and I
Stuff's gotta change, guys. And you two new guys, don't, you know, when that was brought up, you guys should have said right away, why do we have a problem with this? Don't be scared to speak up. Don't let the two head guys keep your throat shut, you know?
Sure, and you might have missed that on your drive over, because we actually had a really good conversation, and I would agree with you that previously there has been some displayed animosity in public meetings and that sort of stuff between the two entities, and I completely agree that we should work for reconciliation, working together in that, so I completely agree with that. But you might have missed, because this one did go, unless I missed something completely, went really well, like did anyone see any, between the park and the city, anything, like, from the crowd, did anyone?
Well, Michelle was almost in tears, I don't know if you guys caught that.
Why?
But
Why?
I don't know.
So,
I have no
She
idea.
was.
but yeah, I
Well,
would
it is what
agree,
it
but
is.
this
I'm
one
just saying
specifically,
that
yeah.
It's been ongoing, and you guys and them guys, I don't know if you five got to sit down and bring in their crew and sit down and just have a heart-to-heart meeting across the board or whatever, but
Well, we had invited the park board one time, and I think one person showed up. But there was conflicts of scheduling and all that.
right, yeah, I get it, I understand it, but
And we would like to do that, you know, absolutely.
it has to be done, that's, you know. And I had one other thing that I had seen and heard about a few months back, and it was about that old man that fixed that downspout on that building over there. And he stood up there for a $300 bill. $300, you guys.
Have
You have the guts to say, pay it.
Have you seen the quality work?
You know what, though? Would you have said anything if that man wouldn't have been here that night, that you did it? You admitted you did it. When were you gonna go?
Of course I would have said that, I would have.
You know?
I didn't know the damage was done.
Yeah, you did, because you
No,
already knew you did it.
I said I hit that plate,
Yeah?
and I didn't know it had tore the thing off the wall. I moved the plate back,
But
and that's all I
besides the
knew.
fact, you knew you hit something, you did something there.
But what, I don't know what you're
And
pointing at.
I'm just saying,
You
just the
gotta
way,
remember, the snow is this high up against the building.
I understand,
I mean,
but
come
the
on.
guy is in here, and he's trying to justify this, and you guys kinda treated him like shit.
Well,
Hence
we
another
didn't-
reason why
we-
people don't always come here.
We didn't hire him.
Yeah.
We're having a discussion here.
I understand that.
You know, they should have came to us. You know, if somebody else hires you, you just don't say, oh, just go bill the city. I mean, we've had, instances of that before, and we say, sorry, you know, you need to let us know, we're not gonna pay your bills for you.
I get that.
And
But once he found out the city cleaned them, somebody told him to go to the city, then he brought it over here. Then he had to wait for a meeting to get in front of you guys.
Well,
And
you know,
then the
it's-
talk
but
went
it-
on for a little
yeah,
bit,
I'm
and
just
then
gonna make one
finally
more
you
comment.
admitted you did it.
But the thing is, you know, he said he asked all over town to find out who cleaned it, which everybody knows the city did it. So,
I never
you
knew,
know,
I've been here for I don't know how many years, I never knew the city wouldn't clean them sidewalks like that.
you were a commissioner, you knew that.
Never knew that.
Okay, we're done.
Honest,
We're done.
honest to God.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a fact, I'm not lying.
Okay,
I really didn't know that the city did that.
all right.
I
mean, the city's been cleaning sidewalks for years and years and years. All right, thank you. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so you say you invite people here to come participate, and a lot of people don't come because they don't like how they get talked to when they're here. Like, I work in the courthouse, there's people who are like, yep, I used to be on that board, and I won't do it anymore because of how we get treated by the commission. That's not right.
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of people come in and, you know, it's, what they want is not what is gonna happen,
But
and they
you
get
were
mad.
downright mean to Ginny Weber. You were degrading her.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
Okay, that's your opinion.
And half the town.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
What?
I would like to thank the city employees for fixing the Veterans Memorial light. And now I'll do my thing on Taste of Washburn. I'm just wanting to double check to make sure the city of Washburn will participate, making lemonade, coffee, and possibly popcorn,
When is that?
March 25th.
Are we doing it?
We can, yeah. We don't have, we'll have to get popcorn.
Yeah.
But,
That was just, I know I have it down for the
Yeah,
lemonade and
lemonade.
coffee, but I didn't know about popcorn.
Yeah, coordinate that with the gals.
Okay, and the other thing is brought to my attention, the city of Washburn hasn't filled out their membership form, and I'm just here to
it's in the bills.
It's in the bills.
Okay,
You know, we have bills we gotta go through, right?
just wanted to make sure.
All right.
All right, so 2 questions, both as president of Washburn Life. I'd like to talk about the dog park, and that maybe needs to be on the agenda.
It should be on the agenda. yeah.
Okay, and then second, how can I get with you guys to see what your plans are for Washburn? Like, if you have anything in the future, so maybe we can work together, if we're both thinking the same thing, that way, not being like counterproductive.
Generally, you can talk to the gals in the office, and they pretty much know what's going on.
They really don't. So if you have anything
Well,
like
maybe there's
in the
nothing going on.
future, and if you don't have anything going on, then that's fine. Yeah.
If I can understand.
It was the streets, but to me, I'm like, well, what are we doing with the businesses? Like, what are we doing with Main Street? Like, do you have any plans to grow this city? And if you do, like, I would like to know what that is. If you don't, that's fine too.
I thought that was your
It
thing.
is, but as you see, as the wheeling and dealings are going on, you know, I just wanna know if there was anything that you guys maybe had in mind, or how do I access that
Okay.
for what you guys do have in mind?
Well, if anybody has anything, they can sure, get a hold of you, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then I guess the last part is, as a citizen of Washburn, when I see 4 people up here and 3 of them have qualifications to be part of the library board and the one doesn't, and that's the one that's chosen, how do I express myself to ask for to relook at that?
Well,
Because
quick question, so you say not qualified, which qualifications did you not met? Because in the bylaws, it actually lists the qualifications,
She
so which
hadn't
one
been
did
on
you
the
not?
board, I feel like
That's
she
not one of the
hadn't been,
qualifications.
she hadn't been, but you have to have board experience,
It doesn't
right?
get it in the
Every
bylaws.
answer that she gave was something off of what somebody else had said.
Sure.
There's no passion in books, I mean, like, there's 3 other people that had, you know what I mean, not even trying to, but it's more of the qualifications that came up here with the passion that came up here versus somebody who, was just kind of submissive to whatever was going on.
Me personally, I think those are the best answers as far as, being concerned about what kind of, material is in the library for the younger
They
people.
all said the same thing. Nobody thought that
okay.
textbooks
That's your
for
opinion.
kindergartners was
That's your
appropriate.
If I may say, you were saying that she has not met qualifications that you were imposing. They're not in the bylaws that says you must have been part of a previous board. See the bylaws right there.
And it says you're
lists-
supposed to be objective in them,
Okay.
but,
All right, okay, thank you.
Which,
So my question was, as a citizen, if it's not just my opinion, and maybe it's just mine, that's fine, and I don't have really nothing against your wife. If she came in with some, then I would have been like, okay, good pick, but I feel like there was no meat or source or nothing to her that was like pushing for the committee. How can I express myself as a community member and ask for like a recount or a revote? Do I petition it? Do I, like, what do you think?
I don't know that answer, but you are expressing your opinions.
Well, the thing about it is,
Or can I do anything?
that's why
I
there's
don't know.
5 of us to vote on stuff now. I disagreed with, 3 of them, so I voted no. And so, that's why there's 5 people voting on something, not so it's just one person selecting one person as to say. So, it's opinion and looking at the criteria or the background on it.
But there was no criteria or background.
We do what we think is best for the community.
And if I may be abundantly clear, I would not have nominated my wife or voted for my wife. That's not exactly the ideal situation I personally wanted, okay? So that's why it was, not for me. just personally, I would have preferred someone else, I'm just being honest, because obviously then this is an issue.
Yeah.
With that being said, could you, I know Mark and Michelle are not married, but could you explain the difference on the board that you run, the difference between them both being on the board? Wouldn't that be a conflict of
Because
interest?
neither one of them is submissive when we're in a meeting. They each have their own opinions and their own strong opinions when they're stating something, whereas she repeated everything that other people had said. And I could respect that if she would've came up with some original answers, but she didn't. And I'm just looking at it as a community member where my children are gonna be in that library, and my daughter reads all the time, you know, and she's going off to college. Like, I just want, as I discovered Washburn, what I saw was, there was nothing off of that pic other than who she was. That was it, that's all that I saw.
Well, that's why I voted against it, because it'd be a conflict of interest, is what I see in my mind. But the other three people didn't see that as an issue.
You didn't look, you didn't even look or pay attention, you just went with the motion. You were already done and had decided, and he was already done and had
I
decided.
hadn't decided anything at the time.
He had, you could see it on your guys' faces, like, he was like, oh, we're gonna pick her.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your opinion. Okay.
I guess I got kids in town too, and I thought,
What?
as far as protecting the young people who are going to make decisions, I mean, I feel that she would probably be the person I would go with.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's what I chose.
Thank you, Jim.
I'd like to iterate on something Kit said, but he's gone now, I guess, but we've never turned down a request for help from the park board as far as I can remember.
I know.
We've removed several trees for them the past several years. We helped them clean their compound area back there last year. If they don't tell us, then we can't help you, so.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Thank you.
we need to move on, pay the bills. We have a motion to pay the bills.
I motion to pay bills.
Second?
Okay, any questions on the bills? Jamie?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was daydreaming.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Next meeting, March 13th, 2023, meeting adjourned, thank you. I'm sorry you don't feel, you feel different, but